Salam everybody. Today we're going to go through the third session about heredity. In this session, I'm going to teach you how to determine whether a certain trait is dominant or recessive. Before, in the previous exercises, we were given whether the trait is dominant or recessive, but today we're going to discover by ourselves whether certain trait is dominant or recessive. In order to see whether certain trait is dominant or recessive, I'm going to go through this example. In this example, we're going to deal again with a human trait which is about right-handed and left-handed. You may be astonished that this is a trait. Usually students ask whether I write with my right hand or left hand is a trait inherited from my parents. Yes, actually yes. This is a trait that you inherit from your parents, your father and mother. The example that we're going to deal here with is as follows. We have two parents of right-handed. It's given that both parents are of right-handed. And they gave birth to three children. One of right-handed and two are of left-handed. From this given, I have to know whether the trait right or left is dominant or recessive. How I'm going to deal with this example? Take it as a rule. Whenever two parents are of the same allele or the same trait, we have a father of right-handed, a mother of right-handed. Yani both they have the same phenotype. When two parents are of the same phenotype and they give birth at least one child of a different phenotype, which is left-handed, this means that this new phenotype, yani as soon as the new phenotype appeared in one of their children, meaning that this new phenotype is recessive and the other trait is dominant. What I mean by that? Well, since these two parents are of right-handed and they gave birth to a child of left-handed, meaning that this child has taken allele left-handed from his parents. Okay, you know that any child can take two alleles from his parents for any trait. One allele from the father, one allele from the mother. So this is a child to be left-handed, meaning that he has taken this allele from his parents. But since this allele is not present or is not expressed in the phenotype of the parents, meaning that it is recessive, yani meaning that these two parents are carrying the left-handed allele, but it is masked on them. If this left-handed is dominant, that it's actually meaning that these two parents are going to be left-handed, but since they are carrying it and not expressed in their phenotype, meaning it is recessive. If I'm going to consider no, they are right-handed, but they are not carrying the left-handed allele. From where this child has taken this left-handed allele? Actually from his parents. So these two, both parents, okay, they are right-handed, but they are heterozygous. Yani both of them has a genotype RL. So they have given this left-handed child small l to be left-handed. It's enough to have one child to have left-handed in order to prove that the left-handed, this new phenotype that appeared in one of the children of these two parents, okay, that it is recessive. The questions here in this exercise are as follows. First, determine the recessive allele. The second question, designate by symbols the corresponding alleles again. Every time they are going to ask me to designate by symbols the alleles. After determining which allele is dominant, which is recessive, so I can designate by symbols these alleles. The third question is going to be as follows. A right-handed man got married to a left-handed woman. Make the necessary factorial analysis to calculate the phenotypic and genotypic percentage of their children. Let us start with the first part. The first part I have explained it to you. Determine the recessive allele, but its answer is going to be as follows. Since the two parents are right-handed and give birth to two left-handed children, so these parents are carrying the left-handed allele, but it is masked and not expressed phenotypically. Thus, left-handed allele is recessive. So please keep it in mind every time when they give me two parents of the same phenotype and a new phenotype appears in one of their children, meaning that this new phenotype is recessive, carried by these two parents, but it is masked by them, so it is recessive. The second question is designate by symbols the corresponding alleles as we have done it in the previous exercise last week. We're going, since we have determined that right is dominant, so right, okay, starts with R. So I'm going to designate by capital R the symbol for the dominant allele, which is responsible for right-handed phenotype. Since left is recessive and the first letter in left is L, so I'm going to designate it by small l, and we're going to write let L be the symbol of the allele which is responsible for left-handed, and it is recessive. Okay, it's the same as the previous exercise. So today, so far, we have learned a new concept, how to determine a recessive allele and how to prove that it is recessive in this way every time. The third question is given to us that a right-handed man got married to a left-handed woman, and they are asking us to make the necessary factorial analysis to calculate the phenotypic and genotypic percentage of their children. Type here the man is right-handed, and right-handed is dominant, as you know, and every time any trait is dominant, I have two possibilities for the genotype, either RR or RL, right? So when I have a dominant trait, I have two possibilities for the genotype, either pure RR or hybrid RL. In this case, what I'm going to do for the woman, it's easy. They are saying that the woman is left-handed, and left-handed is recessive, so it has only one possibility, small l, small l. I have no problem with the woman. But what's about the man? Here, since I have two possibilities and they haven't determined for me whether this man is pure or hybrid, so I'm going to undergo two cases. I'm going to deal with two cases here. In the first case, I'm going to consider that the man is RR, which is pure. And in the second case, I'm going to consider that the man is heterozygous RL, since they haven't determined for me whether he is pure or hybrid. So I'm going to start with first case. I'm going to say that the genotypes of parent, this is the first case, this is the first factorial analysis. Genotypes of parents, the man in this first case is going to be pure or homozygous RR, and the woman LL. Every time the woman is going to be LL because she is left-handed, and left-handed is recessive. So here the gametes of the parents are going to be R for the man, 100%. All the gametes of the man are going to be R, capital R, and 100% of the gametes are going to carry capital R. 100% for the woman are going to be L. All the gametes given by the woman contains small l. Now, what are the genotype of the children of this couple? It's going to be 100% RL. Here there is no need to make a Punnett square. I told you before, when the two parents are pure, there is no need for table of cross. Usually, when we get into the gametes of parent, we follow it with a table of cross or Punnett square. But in this case, I'm not going to draw Punnett square, there is no need. Directly, I can put that genotypes of the children is RL, since I have a combination, one combination, R from the father, L from the mother. So all the children are going to have 100% RL as genotypes. So all the children of this couple are going to be right-handed 100%. And you have to pay attention that I'm dealing with percentages here, because in the question they are asking me to calculate the phenotypic and genotypic percentage of their children. So here you have to pay attention that when you are asked to put or to calculate the percentage, you have to deal with percentage. If you are asked to calculate the ratio or proportions, and 1/2, 1/4, 3/4, you have to deal it with ratios. You cannot write percentage when you are asked to calculate the percentage. The second case, for the same couple, since I don't know whether the father is pure or hybrid, in the second case, we're going to consider that the father is heterozygous RL. He is right-handed and he is heterozygous. So since he is right-handed, so he has at least one R allele, and maybe he has small l left-handed allele, but it is masked in his phenotype. So the mother again has LL. The gametes of the parents, in this case, the father is going to give two kinds of alleles. Half of the alleles are going, half of the gametes are going to carry R, and half of the gametes are going to carry L. For the mother, the same as in the first case, she is going only to give one kind of gamete, which is L 100%. Now, in this case, I need a table of cross or Punnett square. When the two parents are heterozygous, or one of the parents is heterozygous, the other is homozygous, so I have to draw a table of cross or Punnett square. In this Punnett square, I'm going to draw column and 2 rows, because the mother has one kind of gametes. So the gametes of the father are going to be RL, the mother L. Okay, here in the children, I have 2 genotypes of the children, RL and LL 50-50. Why 50-50? Because here I have all the genotypes of the children, which is about 100%. 100 divided by these 2 boxes, it's going to be 50-50. Now, from this table, I can get the genotypes of the children, which is going to be 50% RL, 50% LL. What's about the phenotypes? The phenotypes for the RL, it's going to appear as right-handed, yani 50% right-handed. For LL, it's going to be left-handed, meaning that 50% of the children are going to be left-handed. This is a typical question that you may have it in official exams. Later again, in the next session, we're going to learn how to determine the genotype of all kinds, and how to justify each genotype. Today, so we have learned one new thing, which is how to determine whether a certain trait dominant or recessive, and how to justify it. Okay, see you later, and salam.